I'm a duck and my name is Pequeño. I'm the color of carrots and queso. If you'd like to become mi amigo, come and waddle with me, my new friend. Hello, thank you for joining me for this tutorial of how to make Pequeño the Duck. I've got all the supplies here so you can see what you'll need today. You can use acrylic yarn or blanket yarn or cotton yarn, whatever kind you'd like to use. You'll just need to adjust your hook size. Now I'm using 100% acrylic worsted weight yarn. This is Big Twist from Joann's. And the hook size I'm using for it is a G. Then we have a darning needle. You'll need one stitch marker. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a little short piece of yarn to mark your place. And then you need to pick what kind of eyes you want on your duck. You can use cartoon safety eyes like these, or you can use, I use 8mm size black safety eyes, or you can use these sunglasses that you can glue on. And then you'll just need a couple fistfuls of stuffing. So let's go ahead and get started. Hooray! Row number 1. So row 1 is 6 single crochet into a magic ring. Now you might think the magic ring is a little bit intimidating, but once you get some practice under your belt, it's a great tool to have. So there's my magic ring, and I'm gonna single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to pull the tail on the magic ring, and that is row 1. Row number 2. For row 2, we're going to increment around, which means we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of the ones that we've already did. Now I work in the round, and I work in a spiral, which means I don't chain and go up one. I continue around in a whoop spiral like that. So the first 2 single crochets we're going to put right in here, and I'm going to put in 1. And while we work, we always work over the tail too, so that the tail will get brought into our work. I'm going to do 1 single crochet, and then after the first one, I take my stitch marker and I put it in that first stitch. So each row that we do, I'll stop and put the stitch marker in the first stitch. So when I'm finished, I come around to the stitch marker and I stop. So we're going to increment around. So I'm going to put another one in this same single crochet. And then in the next one, we're going to increment. And then increment. And then increment. So 2 single crochet in each stitch around. And increment. And increment. And check your work. You should have 12 single crochet around. Row number 3. For For row 3, we're going to single crochet and then increment around. So I'm going to start with a single crochet where the stitch marker is here. And then I'm going to take the stitch marker and move it up to row 3. First stitch of row 3. All right, so we did our first single crochet. Now we're going to increment in the next stitch. And see, I'm still working over the tail. You see, I kind of hold it in my hand and kind of tug on it just a teeny bit each stitch. Single crochet and increment. If you tug on the tail too hard, you'll end up with a little boop, a little funny shape on the bottom. So you just want to keep it taut, but not pull on it too hard. Single crochet and increment. Single crochet and increment. Single crochet and increment. Single crochet and increment. That takes us back to our stitch marker. All right, and check your work. You should have 18 stitches around. Row number 4. For row 4, we're going to do 5 single crochet and then increment. So we'll start with the first one of the row. Then we're going to move up that stitch marker to the first stitch of row 4. Now I'm going to do 5 of these. 1, 2, and you see I'm starting to run out of tail. 3, when I've got about 2 stitches of tail left, when the tail covers about 2 stitches, I just fold it to the back because it's going to end up inside the duck like that. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to increment. And then 5 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increment. Okay, and then we'll do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increment. All right, and that's row 4. Check your work. You should have 21 stitches around. Row number 5. Now, row number 5 is where the magic starts to happen. We're going to single crochet around, but in certain stitches, we're only going to use the back loop. And what it does is it leaves you front loops to attach the feet. So I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do first, and then we'll do it. We're gonna do 6 single crochet, and then 3 in the back loop only, and then 3 single crochet, that's the belly, 3 single crochet and back loop only, and then 6 single crochet. So let's do that together. We'll do 6 single crochets first. 1, and then move up our stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the next 3 single crochet we're going to do in back loop only. So we're going to go in between the stitch and only use the back loop for the single crochet. 1, back loop only, 2, back loop only, 3. So this is for the left foot. Now we're going to do the belly. So we're just going to do 3 regular single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to do the back loop onlys for the right foot. So go through just the back loop and do a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to do our last regular 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now if we look at the front of the duck, we'll see that there's 3 loops here that we've left open and 3 loops here that we've left open. That's where the feet go. So now we flip over the duck. Put him down for just a second. Pick up our orange or whatever color that you're going to make his feet. Make a slip knot. And on the front of the duck, you can do either foot first. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with this one. Now remember, I've got him upside down. I'm going to go under this first loop and just make a slip stitch. And pull it a little tight. Now I'm going to do 5 single crochets in this next loop, which is the middle loop. 1, 2, right into that same loop. 3, 4, 5, and then slip stitch into the 3rd loop for this side. Pull it a little bit tight. Now I'm going to get my scissors and see how for each side I've left a tail of about 2 or 3 inches there. And I'm just going to pull this yarn through to tie it off. And now what I do is I go from the inside of the duck, just where one side of the foot ends, just kind of find a hole under there and take the yarn and pull it through to the inside of the duck. So now the tail is inside the duck. And I go through on the other side, find a hole down there that's close to the tail, pull the other tail inside the duck. So now we have the foot and the two tails. Now, with the little slip stitches, sometimes you've got a little bump right here. So to make it look prettier, I kind of tug a little bit until that slip stitch bump is inside the duck. And I do that on this side too. Pull just a little bit until that slip stitch is inside the duck. Now, at this point, I tie a triple knot. You're welcome to weave in the ends if you like that better. But with a triple knot, these feet are going to stay in place. And once you get the stuffing in here, the ends that are long, right, are not going to move. So I've done 2. And I've done 3. And then rather than trim the ends, I just reuse and I tuck my ends inside the duck to use kind of as stuffing. So now let's get the foot colored yarn again. Make a slip knot. Now we'll do the other side. So I find my 3 loops, which are boop, 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 right there. I make a slip stitch into the first one. Pull it just a little bit tight. Now I do 5 single crochet into the middle one. Right here. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. And if you feel like you're stretching that loop out a little bit, it's okay, because we're going to tug on the next one too. It'll pull it back down. Plus, when we pull the tails inside, that will help tighten this up. So now I'm just going to slip stitch under that 3rd last loop. Pull it a little bit tight. And then I'll take the 2 tails and I'll cut the other one. And we'll finish off this tail. Now we turn our duck right side up and look at the 2 tails here. We're going to find a hole under this foot on the left side and pull it through. So the tail is on the inside of the duck. Then we'll go to the other side under the foot, near where the tail end is, and pull it through. So that tail's inside the duck. Now I give it just a little tug to pull those slip stitch knots inside the duck to make it look pretty. And I tie a triple knot. 1, 2, 3. Tuck my ends inside, and we'll end up putting stuffing on top of this. So check your work. You should have 21 stitches around and 2 feet. Row number 6. Now we are going to make a duck without a tail, but if you'd like, for a little bonus, you can watch at the end of this video and I'll teach you how to add a tail to the duck. It's a tiny bit more advanced, but for now we're just going to make a duck with no tail. So this row will be 6 single crochet and then an increment. So I'm going to do my first single crochet, and moved up my stitch marker. So now I'm going to do 2, number 2, and then 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and now I'll do an increment, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Now I'll do 6 single crochet. 1, 2, hello little feet, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll do an increment. All right, and then 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increment. And that is row 6. You check your work, you should have 24 stitches around and 2 feet. Row number 7. For row 7, I'm going to do 24 stitches around. So 1 single crochet and move up the stitch marker. And I hope wherever you're watching this from, you're having a good day today. It's nice and pretty and sunny here. I can hear the birds chirping. And you'll notice when I do my single crochet, I'm doing a yarn under. So I go through the hole and I yarn under and pull it through. This makes your stitches tighter for your little amigurumi, your little stuffed animals. You can also change your hook size. You can make it a smaller hook or a larger hook if that helps you with the size of your stitches and the size of the holes between the stitches. I usually use a size G hook if I'm using regular worsted weight yarn. This is going to be a happy little duck when he's finished. I can't wait. All right, that is the 24th single crochet. So check your work. You should have 24 single crochet around. Row number 8. So row 8 is the last row of the belly. We're going to do 6 single crochet and then a decrease around. So let's do that together. We'll do our first single crochet and then move up our stitch marker. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a decrease is 2 single crochet together. And I go through the front loop only when I do these because it helps hide the holes here. So we'll go through front loop and then a front loop and then pull through those 3, and that's a decrease. And we'll do 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Hello, little feet. 4, 5, 6, and then a decrease through the front loops. And now 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a decrease here at the end through the front loops only. And check your work. You should have 21 single crochet around. Row number 9. For row number 9, we get to make the wings. And the way that we use it is we use the front loop only to put the wings. And then when we're finished, when we go to the next round, we'll fill in behind the wings with the next round. So let's start here. We're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, and move up our stitch marker, then 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to use the next 3 stitches for the wing, and you'll see that it's just on the outside of the foot. The good thing about this row is that if for some reason your wings end up sideways or a little bit crooked because of the way your stitches lay, you can always do 3 single crochet at the beginning instead of 4 to move your wing back a little bit, or to move it forward a little bit, you can add a stitch. So finish this row and then look at your wings, and if they don't look even, you can back it up a stitch or you can push it forward a stitch. So to make the wing, we've made our first 4 single crochet, and then to make the wing, I'm going to slip stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch, slip stitch. Now this is going to seem familiar to you because this is kind of like making the foot. So now we're going to do 5 double crochet in the next front loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all in the same stitch. 5. So now that we've made our 5 double crochet in that front loop, we're going to slip stitch into the next front loop. And and that attaches the front of the wing. So here we've done slip stitch, 5 double crochet, slip stitch over 3 stitches. Now we're going to do 9 single crochet across the front of his belly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I just wanted to show you real quick. I mentioned at the beginning that if you pull the tail too tight when you're doing the bottom of the duck, you'll end up with kind of a bumpy spot. So you'll see I kind of was pulling on the yarn a little too tight. I got a little bumpy spot there, but I'm glad I did that so I could show that to you. You can just kind of roll it around a little bit with your fingers and get it to smooth out. And we'll be stretching it just a little bit when we put stuffing in it, so that will help fix that spot. So now I've done 9 single crochet across the front, and you'll see that we're now on the outside of the other foot. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to 5 double crochet into the next. These are front loops, in the front loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to slip stitch in the front loop of the next stitch, and that attaches the wing. So now we've got 2 single crochet here left. We're going to do 2 single crochet. And your little ducky has wings. Now when you check your work this time, you should have 21 stitches, and make sure when you're counting them, the middle of the wing, don't worry about the 5, we'll just count that as 1. We'll count this as 1, and you'll have 21 stitches around. Row number 10. Now for row 10, we're going to single crochet around, and when we get to the wings, we're going to double crochet in the 3 back loops that we left behind for each of the wings. And the reason that we do double crochet instead of single crochet is because we're going to be up a row higher, and we also have to compensate for the row below that we didn't put anything. So we're kind of making stitches over the wings that are 2 stitches high. So we're going to start by doing 4 single crochet, just regular single crochet. 1, and move up our stitch marker. 2, 3, 4. So after those 4 single crochet, now we're at the wing. We'll fold the wing down. We're looking at his shoulder here, and you'll see the 1, 2, 3 back loops that we skipped before. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do double crochet in each of those back loops. 1 double crochet, and then in the middle of the wing, the back loop, 1 double crochet, and the front of the wing, 1 double crochet. Now we're at the front of the wing. We're going to use this first stitch right here, and the next stitch we're going to do a decrease right on the other side of the wing. So I want to make sure that you don't skip a stitch. Lift up his wing a little bit and look at his armpit. And get this double crochet and this double crochet. So remember, on a decrease we use the front loops and then decrease. And now we're going to do 5 single crochet across front of the belly. Three, 4, 5. Now we're going to do a decrease just like on the other side, front of the wing, with these 2 stitches here. Front loop only, decrease. Now we're at the other wing. We'll fold the wing over, and we find the 3 back loops that we skipped. And we'll do a double crochet in each one of those. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was a little tough to find. Let's see here. This is a good example that things aren't always easy. Sometimes you just kind of have to fudge it a little bit until you find what you need to do. There we go. So we've done 3 double crochet over the wings. And then we've got 2 single crochet left. 1, 2. Now you can check your work, and you should have 19 stitches around. Row number 11. Now for row 11, we're going to start with 1 single crochet. Move up the stitch marker. And then we'll do a decrease in the front loops. Now the rest of the way around, we're going to do 2 single crochet and a decrease. So 1, 2, and a decrease. One, 2, and a decrease. And 1, 2, and a decrease. And 1, 2, and a decrease right here at the end. That's row 11. Check your work. You should have 14 stitches around. And 2 feet and 2 wings. Now it's time to stuff the body. We want to make sure that we don't use too much stuffing. I grab little tufts like this, so it's nice and loose and soft inside. You want to add just enough stuffing to help the duck hold his shape, but you don't want them to be hard and you don't want the stitches to stretch out. So stuff your duck gently, turn him around and around till you have just enough stuffing to make him have a nice little belly. Row number 12. For row number 12, we're going to decrease around. So since we got to do the first 2 stitches, I'm going to take the marker out here for a second. I'm going to do a decrease. And then I'll put my stitch marker back in there. And we'll continue to do decreases all the way around. Just the second one. Another decrease. Another decrease. Another decrease. And decrease. And decrease. All right, and then check your work. You should have 7 stitches around. Now at this point, I like to just put a little tiny bit of stuffing in the neck. Now that we've finished that decrease row, and I use my pinky finger because I have chubby sausages here, and the pinky finger fits it down in the neck hole. I'm going to break this one in half. And just kind of go around the inside a little bit. You don't want to put in too much or it will stretch out the neck a whole bunch. Just a little bit, just like that. Row number 13. Now in row 13, we're going to increment around, so we're getting ready to start the head here. We are on the home stretch. So we are going to increment, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Move up my stitch marker. Put a second single crochet there. And then increment. And we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. All right, at the end of row 13, check your work. You should have 14 stitches around. Row number 14. For row 14, we're going to do a single crochet and an increase around. So a single crochet, move up the stitch marker, and then in the next stitch we'll do an increase, which is 2 single crochet, and we'll continue that around. I was just thinking that when I'm doing an increase, sometimes I say increase and sometimes I say increment. But with a decrease, you don't say decrement. I don't say decrement. Single crochet, increase. Everybody knows crochet just a little bit different, knows different terms they've learned from people along the way, or different ways to do stitches. And there's no wrong way to do things. That's what makes it an art, is everybody does it just a little bit differently. And some people are left-handed and some people are right-handed. And some people make cute ducks, and some people make cute octopuses, or octopi. All right, and then an increase in the last stitch. All right, and check your work for row 14. You should have 21 stitches around. Row number 15. Now for row 15, we're going to add on the beak, and we're going to add it much in the same way that we added the feet. So I'll tell you what we're going to do first, and then we'll do it together. We're going to do 12 single crochet, and then 3 in the back loop only, and then 6 single crochet. Now, something to pay attention to when you're doing this row, here's my first stitch and moving the stitch marker. Something to pay attention to when you do this row is where the 3 beak stitches land. Because if you do these 12 single crochets, but your beak is crooked, say it's over here or something, just because of the way you stitch, you can always just move the beak a couple more steps down. So, when you finish the row, take a look and see if your beak stitches are straight. So 1, 2, we're going to do 12 of these. 3 single crochet, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I'm right over the top of my feet, and I'm going to do my 3 back loop only single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to do 6 single crochet to finish off the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that you've finished the row, take a look at the front and see where your 3 front loops are, and make sure that they're in the right place, because this is the perfect time and your last chance really before we start sewing on the beak. Now, if you sew on the beak, you can still take it out. We all make little mistakes, and that's okay. But this is a good time to stop and just stare at your duck before you add the beak on, and make sure that those 3 stitches are right above his belly. Of course, unless you want him looking off to the side, you could do that too. So now we'll turn our duck upside down, get our duck beak colored yarn, make a slip knot, and we'll attach it to the first loop of the 3 front loops with a slip stitch. Now, instead of doing 5 double crochet like we did for the feet, we're going to do the beak a little different so it sticks out different. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the middle loop. Then we're going to do a chain. Now do 2 double crochet in that same loop, that same front loop, the middle front loop. 1, 2, I hear an airplane. Do you hear an airplane? Now we'll do a chain again, and we'll do a single crochet in that same loop. And then to finish it off, we'll put a slip stitch in the 3rd loop. Pull it a little tight, and then we'll cut that end. Make sure we have enough room to work with. Don't cut it too short. And then we'll finish off that piece. Give it a little tug. So now, instead of something that looks like a foot, you have something that looks like a beak. And we're going to tuck the yarn strands inside and tie them the same way we did with the feet, just below the beak on one side, and pull the yarn through to the inside. And poke through on the other side, and grab the yarn and pull it through to the inside. Then we can give each side just a little tug to make sure those slip stitches are inside, makes the beak look nicer. And then I'm going to tie 3 knots here, or you can weave in your ends. And then we'll take these ends and just stuff them down inside the duck and use them for stuffing. It's looking more like a duck every minute. Quack, quack. Row number 16. For row 16, we're going to single crochet all the way around. Now you might be wondering, what's so exciting about row 16? When we finish row 16, we're going to put the eyes in. And you can either use safety eyes, or you can make French knot eyes, or you can glue on little sunglasses, or you can make felt eyes. There's so many options, and they each will give your duck a little different character. These are so quick to make. When you get good at it, you should be able to make one in about an hour. Or maybe you're super fast and can go faster than an hour. But experiment with different things and make the duck your own. Give it its own little character. I'm making a yellow duck for this video, but I've started experimenting with different colors. Pink ducks are really cute. And seafoam green ducks. And I made a really cute blue duck too. So this is row 16, single crocheted around. Check your work, you should have 21 stitches around. Now when you're deciding what kind of eyes you want to use for your duck, you can get safety eyes, which have a post in the back that a grommet goes on. And there's some safety eyes that look like cartoons, like this. Or you can get safety eyes that are just plain black eyes, like this. Or you can get some of these cool sunglasses and put sunglasses on your duck. Now these you have to glue on. And I use Gorilla Gel Glue to glue these on. If you're going to glue on your glasses, you can keep crocheting and finish the head, and then once you've got it stuffed and finished and everything, you can glue on the glasses very last. But we're going to use safety eyes. These black eyes. These are 8mm safety eyes. And all of these items have links down in the description that you can go and get your own from Amazon. So we put a safety eye through a hole just above the beak on each side. And then a safety eye on this side. And suddenly we have a little duck. We'll put the grommets on the back of the safety eyes. And make sure they pop, make sure they go over the little bumps so that they'll stay in place. And I usually push on the back to make sure that that eye is going to stay in there. And there's our duck with his eyes. So now we're off to the next row. Row number 17. This is row 17. We're in the home stretch and we're going to start closing up the head. So row 17 is 3 single crochets and then a decrease all the way around. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet and move my marker. So 3, 1, 2, 3, including the first one, and then we do a decrease stitch. If you hear panting in the background, that's my puppy that came to join me. I promise it's not my husband. Okay, 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. And 3 more, 1, 2, 3, oh, you're such a good puppy. And then a decrease. And then 3 more, 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. Now when we get to the end here, you're going to notice that we have 1 stitch left over, and that's good. That means you did it right. So we do 1 single crochet to end this row. That's the end of row 17. And you want to check your work. You should have 17 stitches around. Row number 18. For row 18, we're going to do 2 single crochet and decrease around. So we'll start with 1 and move the stitch marker up. And then a second one, 2, And then we'll do our decrease. And then we'll do 2 more. 1, 2, and a decrease. And continue that around. 1, 2. You know, my puppy has been so good. Decrease. I think I will take her for a WALK when we're finished. Doesn't that sound nice? 1. Luckily, she can't spell. I've heard that some dogs can spell, but she hasn't figured that out yet. And then a decrease. And now we're back to the last stitch. And again, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in that last stitch. And that's the end of row 18. You can check your work. You should have 13 stitches around. Brains! Brains! Now it's time to stuff your duck's head. Hooray! Something that I like to do when I'm stuffing the head is take a big piece of fluff, and if I use safety eyes, I put it between the eyes, and that helps the eyes so that they don't get kind of stuck together like this. You stuff in a bunch of stuffing if you're not paying attention, because the eyes are so close together that that little piece of stuffing right in between the eyes just helps the eyes spread out a little bit and look good like that. So then we'll get a little more stuffing. And we'll stuff the head just like we stuff the body, just enough to help it keep its shape, but we don't want it to be hard and we don't want to spread out the stitches. So just enough to keep its shape. And if I have a stitch that is kind of seems like it's coming in front of the eye a little bit like that, I just take my thumbnail and I just kind of push the stitch behind the eye a little bit. You can use a needle to do that too if you don't have a thumbnail. A little more stuffing. And that's pretty good. I think it's time to close up the head. Row number 19. Now the last row is decreases all the way around. But instead of going all the way back to the stitch marker, I actually only do 5 decreases, which gets you to about here, and it gives you a little bit of a hole to pull closed. I just think it looks better. So we're going to take out the stitch marker. And then we're going to do 5 decreases. And then we'll be finished with the duck. We'll just pull the head closed. So we'll do 1 decrease. And then 2 decrease. And then 3 decrease. And then 4 decrease. And then 5 decrease. And now just slip stitch the very last and into your next stitch here, just to get yourself a nice tight end right there. And we're going to cut a good sized tail. So make sure that we've got plenty to work with. And we'll get our darning needle. And I pull this yarn through one more time. And what we do with the needle is we go through the front loop only of each stitch around, and then we're going to cinch it shut. So do the first stitch, the second stitch, and just in the front loops. And we're not pulling hard, we're just doing gently all the way around. Just gently all the way around. I do one little extra one here. Now, if you hold onto the duck and just very gently pull, you'll see that circle start to close. This, I think, is the most satisfying part about making a duck. I love watching his head close, because not only am I done, but it's just kind of like a little bit of magic that it does it on its own. So now some people would go back and forth 3 times, or some people will put the yarn through the duck. I'm going to go back and forth 4 times. This is just the way I do it. 1, and pull it snug to make sure that that hole is nice and closed. Then go under the next loop also and do 2. I'm going back the way I came. And then 3 over the next loop. And then 4. Grab this loop over here. This is not an exact science. And don't pull super, super tight, because it will stretch out the top of your duck, but just tight enough so that it will stay in place. Now you can cut this end. I'm going to pull on it just a little bit. Be careful not to cut your duck. Boop. Oh, I got a little extra thread there. There we go. And that's Pequeño the Duck. I hope you enjoyed spending this afternoon with me and learning how to make this duck. Please check out the links in the video and see if there's supplies that you'd like to get. And if you'd like to have me come up with a different kind of animal to make, let me know and I'll give it a shot. Bye-bye. Bonus rounds. Bonus rounds. We got some bonus rounds for you. Yeah. So these 2 bonus rounds replace rows 6 and 7 in your pattern. So once you've made your first duck, maybe you decide with the second duck that you want to add a tail. And it's a tiny bit more complicated than the wings, so I wanted to add it separately as a bonus round. So I've already got row 5 done here. You can see I've added the feet on the front. And we're at the end of row 5. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take out the last stitch of row 5, because the stitch marker is right in the middle of the 2 feet. And we need to do the slip stitch, the multiple crochets, and then the slip stitch to make the tail right here. So we're going to back up 1, take 1 stitch out. Okay, and then I'm going to pick the loop back up, and I'm just going to slip stitch in the front loop where I just pulled the stitch out. I'm just going to slip stitch. Okay, and now I'm going to take this marker out for a second. And instead of double crochet, we're going to make single crochet, because with the double crochet, it makes it look like he had a 3rd wing on the back. It was too big. So we're going to do 5 single crochet. So under the front loop, 1, 2, 3 single crochet, 4, 5. So we've got that little tail, and in the next front loop, we're going to slip stitch, just like we did with the wing. And the reason that this also is a little bit more complicated is this row that we're adding the tail to has increases in it. So the normal pattern without the tail has 6 single crochet and then an increase. And what we're going to do instead is we made the tail, so that's the tail is 1, right? That's all in one stitch. 1, 2 is the slip stitch. Now we'll make 3, we'll make a single crochet. 4, make a single crochet. 5 single crochet. 6 single crochet. And then our increase, which is 2 single crochet in the same stitch. My feet want to get in the way here. Okay, and then 6 single crochet again, so we're just doing the repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochet, and then we do the increase, 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Now we'll do 6 single crochet again. 1, 2, you see we're coming back to the tail now. 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we have a decision to make. You remember that we backed up a stitch, so this isn't actually the last stitch of the row, the slip stitch is. So we can either, we still need that increase though here. We can either increase right here where we just did our 6th single crochet, which I think looks good, or the other way you can do it is, remember the next row is going to start on these 3 back loops. You can do 2 double crochets in the back loop, but I just think it looks neater to put that one more stitch right here. So you just have an increase right before the slip stitch. So now we are going to be starting row 7, which would normally just be single crochet around. We don't have to worry about any increases now. But what we have to do is make the last stitch for the previous row the way that I did it, because I'm using the back loop. So that's 1 double crochet in the first back loop. Now a second double crochet in the tail, the middle back loop. Now this is the first stitch of the row, so we're going to put that stitch marker back in right here. Okay, and then we'll do a 3rd double crochet in that 3rd back loop. And then the rest of the row is just, make sure you get that next single crochet after the tail. The rest of the row is just single crocheting around. And then you'll be ready to pick right up with row number 8. And there is your little tail. Hooray for tails!